Hey guys, Reed here and welcome to ReadReborn. In today's video I am doing my top 10 favourite dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV. There is a mixture of A Realm Reborn dungeons and Heavensward dungeons in this video, so let's start off with number 10. So in at number 10 is BRAYFLOX'S LONGSTOP hard mode. This made the list just because I've run it so many times. This was a classic for me back in the day, running it, doing the 5-minute farm runs for soldiery, and obviously it's quite a fun dungeon as well. The last boss against the Gob Walker machine thing, shooting the bombs, that's quite fun, and obviously it looks very nice as well. Cool jungle setting with some pretty cool background weather as well. So in at number 9 is the AERY. This is on my list because it was a huge part of the Heavensward story at the time. I was really curious as to what the floating purple lightning-y thing is, or was, in the Churning Mists, and then when you find out it's the area, I was so cool to fly over there in my new mount and supposedly put an end to the Dragon Song War by killing Nidhogg. And as you can see, it is a rather stunning place in the Churning Mists. It looks really cool and mysterious with all the different purpley colours and the lightning going off. It was so cool to venture there and have a dungeon there. In at number 8 is the Sunken Temple of QARN hard mode. First of all, I absolutely love the music for this dungeon, it's so addictive. But in terms of the dungeon, it's actually really good fun compared to normal mode. I mean, I know a lot of people really hated normal mode. It was quite long, it was quite hard. But in hard mode, all of the bosses have actually got some pretty fun mechanics, and they're all completely different, and it's just really fun to play. So yeah, that is why that is number 8. In at number 7 is NEVERREAP. This made the list because it didn't disappoint. I was so hyped for it after the Square Enix dungeon trailer. It was the first endgame dungeon at 3.0, and it felt like I'd finally completed everything from Heavensward, and as you can see, it looks amazing. All of the blue crystals and from the Sea of Clouds, it looks really nice. And generally it is a really fun dungeon to play. There's not too hard, and all the bosses are really good fun. In at number 6 is SASTASHA. I thought this had to make the list just because it's the first dungeon you come across whilst playing through the main story in the game. Just brings back some fun memories. Me as a level 15 ranger doing this for the first time, and just developing as a character, getting used to all new mechanics in bosses and with parties and stuff. I thought it just had to make the list just because it was first dungeon. Great time, and it does also look really cool. All this cool glowing floating stuff, and the corals, different colours, so that is all really cool. And in terms of a dungeon, it's just a great thing to remember as one of the first memories that I have of the game. In at number 5 we have SNOWCLOAK. Personally, I really like the music. It's nice and peaceful. It goes pretty well with the icy cold feel of the dungeon. It fitted in really well with patch 2.4 and Shiva. It led up to it quite well, as this dungeon was part of the main scenario. It had some new bosses, some pretty fun new bosses with new mechanics that hadn't been seen. And obviously Fenrir was the final boss, and which is now an in-game mount, which is pretty cool. And as you can see here, this dungeon also looks really nice. Awesome, cool crystal features and ice, which is really cool. In at number 4 we've got the PRAETORIUM. I thought this had to make the list because this was another classic. This is the final dungeon or 8-man instance that you do in the 2.0 main scenario. So it's pretty same as SASTASHA. This is just another classic. Just remembering your first time doing this, following the story and finally getting to the end of 2.0. It's a really good moment in the game, finally defeating the ultimate weapon and completing the main scenario of the game. You get to kill some pretty big people from the story, such as Gaius Van Belsar, Nero Tolskeva, Lahabrea and Ultimate Weapon as well, which is pretty cool. And don't forget, you also get your Magitech mount as well. In at number 3, got SASTASHA hard mode. This is another one I absolutely love because of the soundtrack. I think it's amazing, really addictive as well. And in terms of a dungeon, it is great fun. You can just do massive pulls, even when it first came out, and all of the bosses are really good fun. It's quite cool to see some people from SASTASHA normal mode in there, such as the captain. So overall, a fun dungeon, and it was great to be back in SASTASHA. In at number 2 we've got AMDAPOR Keep. I think this is so high on the list just because I've got such fun memories running this every single day for tomestones of philosophy and mythology, because this was the highest endgame dungeon at the time when I first started, and I thought the Demon Wall was the coolest boss in the game. I absolutely loved it. Just remember running this and having such a good time. The whole dungeon is great fun. And finally, in at number 1 we've got HULLBREAKER Isle. This is without a doubt my favourite dungeon in the whole game. I remember the day it came out and I was literally just mind blown by it. I think it's such a cool area, like mysterious pirate cove, beach, tropical area. It's just amazing, and all the boss fights are really enjoyable and each one has different mechanics. The final boss is great with the Kraken and all the different arms and tentacles, and overall it's just great fun. Anyway guys, that is my video over. There were some close contenders, including the Vault, the Great Global Library, Lost City of AMDAPOR, Wondrous Palace Hard Mode, and Keeper of the Lake, just for the last boss. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm glad I managed to make this video to show you guys my top 10 dungeons in the game. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Final Fantasy XIV videos in the future.